When a woman stood at the site believed to be Jesus' tomb in Israel, she likely had no idea she was connecting with a place that holds nearly 2,000 years of faith and mystery. First uncovered by Emperor Constantine and his mother Helena, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre continues to amaze with discoveries like a medieval altar hidden for centuries. What secrets are still waiting to be uncovered within its ancient walls, unveiling Jesus' final resting place? The story of Jesus' tomb intertwines history, theology, and tradition in a way that has fascinated believers and scholars for centuries. At its heart lies the profound account of his burial, a moment steeped in spiritual significance and historical mystery. Rooted in the New Testament Gospels, the burial of Jesus marks a critical junction in the narrative of his crucifixion and resurrection. These ancient texts, penned within the 1st century, not only underscore the theological importance of this event, but also offer glimpses into the cultural and social dynamics of burial practices in 1st century Jerusalem. Following the crucifixion, the Gospels recount an act both extraordinary and emotional: the burial of Jesus in a rock-cut tomb. This account stands out in the broader historical context of Roman crucifixion practices, where the bodies of the condemned were often left unburied as a grim warning to others. As opposed to Jesus' burial reflects an act of profound respect and devotion, spearheaded by a figure central to this narrative, Joseph of Arimathea. Described in the Gospels as a respected member of the Jewish council, Joseph emerges as a courageous and compassionate character who sought to honor Jesus in his death. Joseph's decision to approach Pontius Pilate and request Jesus' body was nothing short of remarkable. It signaled a divergence from the norm, as the remains of crucified individuals were typically disposed of in mass graves or left exposed to the elements. Pilate's agreement to this request, influenced by Jewish burial traditions and the sensitivities of the time, allowed Joseph to proceed with a burial fitting for a revered teacher and spiritual leader. This act underscored not only Joseph's personal conviction, but also the broader cultural importance of burial rites in Jewish society. The tomb itself, described as newly hewn from rock and unused, holds immense theological and historical significance. Its preparation and placement reflected both the urgency imposed by the approaching Sabbath and the reverence afforded to Jesus by his followers. According to Gospel accounts, Jesus' body was wrapped in linen and placed within this tomb, a detail that symbolized the conclusion of his earthly ministry while setting the stage for the resurrection. The sealing of the tomb with a large stone, a detail emphasized across the Gospels, conveyed both the finality of death and the anticipation of divine intervention. The choice of a rock-cut tomb for Jesus is particularly striking. In 1st century Jerusalem, such tombs were commonly associated with the wealthy and elite, often representing significant social status. These tombs, carved directly into the limestone bedrock, typically featured multiple chambers and provisions for secondary burial. Bones were collected into ossuaries to make room for future burials, reflecting deeply ingrained beliefs about family continuity and the sanctity of burial sites. Jesus, originating from a modest family in Galilee, would not have had access to such a prestigious burial place without Joseph's intervention. This act not only ensured Jesus was laid to rest with dignity, but also carried profound theological weight, symbolizing the intersection of humility and reverence. Joseph's role in this narrative has invited considerable scholarly attention and debate. While the Gospel accounts present him as a courageous benefactor, questions about the historical reliability of these accounts remain. The Gospels were written decades after the events they describe and are shaped by the theological motives of their authors. This raises intriguing questions about whether Joseph's actions reflect historical reality or serve as a narrative device to emphasize divine providence and the fulfillment of prophecy. Regardless of this debate, the figure of Joseph remains central to the story of Jesus' burial, embodying themes of compassion, courage, and faith. The significance of Jesus' tomb extends far beyond its physical characteristics. By the 4th century, it had become a cornerstone of the Christian faith, thanks to the efforts of Roman Emperor Constantine and his devout mother, Helena. Their identification of the site believed to house Jesus' tomb marked a pivotal moment in Christian history. Under Constantine's orders, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was constructed to preserve and venerate this sacred space. Helena's role in this endeavor, particularly her reputed discovery of the site beneath a Roman temple to Venus, further intertwined faith with imperial authority. The establishment of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre transformed the tomb into a focal point of Christian devotion. Pilgrimage to this site began soon after its identification, solidifying its status as a spiritual epicenter for believers. Over the centuries, the tomb has endured invasions, reconstructions, and theological disputes. Yet its significance has remained undiminished. For millions of Christians, it is a connection to the foundational events of their faith, offering a place for prayer, reflection, and renewal. The tomb's historical and religious significance cannot be overstated. It provides a vital link between the early Christian community and the broader cultural and religious practices of the time. By situating Jesus' burial within the traditions of Jewish society, the Gospels root his story in a concrete historical context, bridging the divine narrative with human experience. Yet, the tomb also transcends its physical location, becoming a symbol of hope, resurrection, and the enduring impact of Jesus' teachings. Today, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre continues to inspire awe and reverence. Its chambers, encapsulating the traditional site of Jesus' burial, are steeped in both history and spirituality. Visitors often describe a profound sense of connection to the past, as if stepping into a living narrative that continues to inspire and transform lives. The interplay of light filtering through ancient stained glass, the scent of incense in the air, and the echoes of whispered prayers create an atmosphere of deep devotion and introspection. However, the enduring allure of the tomb invites questions that challenge traditional interpretations. Was Jesus truly buried in this sacred space? Or does the story, as preserved in the Gospels, reflect theological aspirations rather than historical realities? These questions have fueled alternative theories about Jesus' burial, ranging from the Garden Tomb to the Talpiot Tomb, each presenting unique perspectives and evidence. The absence of Joseph of Arimathea in earlier Christian creeds and the lack of archaeological evidence directly linking the site to Jesus further complicates efforts to reconstruct this pivotal moment in history. Despite these uncertainties, the tomb remains a powerful symbol of faith and resilience. It has withstood the ravages of time, the destruction of wars, and the debates of scholars, emerging as a symbol of the enduring power of belief. For Christians worldwide, it represents not only the culmination of Jesus' earthly journey, but also the promise of new beginnings and eternal hope. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with its rich tapestry of history and devotion, stands as a living monument to these timeless truths. The story of Jesus' tomb is both deeply personal and universally resonant. It speaks to the human longing for connection, meaning, and transcendence, inviting believers and seekers alike to explore the mysteries of faith. Whether viewed through the lens of history, theology, or tradition, the tomb of Jesus continues to captivate and inspire, bridging the past with the present and the earthly with the divine. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one of Christianity's holiest sites, has stood for centuries as a monument to faith, history, and resilience. Constructed over what is believed to be the tomb of Jesus Christ, this sacred site represents a profound intersection of theology, culture, and architecture. As we mentioned earlier, identified in the 4th century by Emperor Constantine and his devout mother Helena, the site has witnessed triumphs and tribulations that span millennia. Central to its spiritual and historical significance is the edicule, a small but monumental structure encasing the tomb of Christ within the church's grand rotunda. Constantine's selection of this site followed a pivotal discovery attributed to Helena, who, guided by religious fervor, located the tomb beneath a Roman temple dedicated to Venus. Constantine ordered the construction of a magnificent basilica, integrating the tomb as its spiritual heart. Over the centuries, the church would endure destruction and reconstruction, evolving into the architectural and religious masterpiece that continues to captivate millions today. At the center of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre lies the edicule, a limestone structure built to protect and enshrine the remains of the rock-cut tomb believed to hold Christ's body after his crucifixion. While the Edicule has inspired countless pilgrims with its spiritual gravitas, it has not been immune to the ravages of time. Fires, earthquakes, and centuries of wear have repeatedly tested its resilience. The current incarnation, built in 1809 by Nikolaos Komnenos of Lesvos, following a devastating fire, has itself faced challenges, including structural instability due to groundwater seepage and damage caused by environmental conditions. By the mid-20th century, the Edicule was encased in a steel shoring structure, installed during the British Mandate to prevent collapse. The candles lit by countless pilgrims darkened its pink and creamstone exterior, and water seeping through the rotunda's open oculus further eroded its foundation. The once revered structure, a beacon of faith, had deteriorated to a shadow of its former glory. In 2016, a historic decision was made by leaders of the three Christian communities, Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and Armenian Apostolic, to restore the Edicule. This marked a momentous collaboration, transcending centuries-old differences to preserve this shared heritage. The restoration, led by Professor Antonia Moropoulou of the National Technical University of Athens, was a remarkable feat of engineering, archaeology, and diplomacy. The restoration involved dismantling the exterior masonry around three sides of the Edicule. Displaced stones were meticulously cleaned, repaired, and secured with titanium anchors, while grout was injected to consolidate the structure. Beneath the stone covering the burial couch, a fragment of an older stone was revealed, hinting at the ancient origins of the tomb. Hidden, painted decorations, long obscured by centuries of grime, were uncovered, breathing new life into the structure. The restoration not only restored the Edicule's structural integrity, but also honored its spiritual significance. Pilgrims continued to visit the site during the restoration, as the team worked tirelessly, often through the night, to ensure minimal disruption. The project concluded on March 22, 2017, exactly 1 year after the leaders of the three denominations signed an agreement to begin the work. This collaboration stood as a symbol of unity, with leaders such as Greek Orthodox Patriarch Theophilus III describing it as a historic moment of collaboration to preserve this sacred place. The success of this endeavor was due in part to the support of global organizations like the World Monuments Fund. Philanthropists like Mika Erdogan and Jack Shear provided crucial funding, underscoring the universal importance of the Edicule as a symbol of faith and humanity. Mika Erdogan expressed her hope that people come together to preserve this holy site, which is so important to all religions. The restoration of the Edicule marked only the beginning of efforts to uncover and preserve the Church's ancient secrets. A second phase of work aimed at addressing issues below the rotunda floor is currently underway. This phase includes strengthening the foundations, improving drainage and sewage systems, and conserving the rotunda floor. Each intervention is carefully planned to ensure that visitors can continue their pilgrimage without interruption. Beyond structural restoration, ongoing archaeological projects within the church promise to shed new light on its history. The Sapienza University of Rome has undertaken a 2-year project to repair and restore pavement stones throughout the complex. This project offers archaeologists a rare opportunity to study the layers beneath the floor, many of which have never been systematically excavated. Researchers are particularly eager to uncover remnants of Constantine's original 4th century church, a structure that has largely been lost to history due to repeated destruction. According to Giorgio Pyrrhus of Sapienza University, the excavation holds the potential for groundbreaking discoveries. "We don't know what is beneath the floor," he stated. "It has never been systematically excavated, so we don't know what we shall find. But it should be at least some remains of Constantine's church." The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is more than just a place of worship. It is a living example of the resilience of faith. Its history is marked by cycles of destruction and renewal, from its burning during the Sassanid conquest in 614 CE to its complete destruction by the Fatimids in 1009 CE. Each time it was rebuilt, by Emperor Heraclius in 630, by Byzantine Emperor Monomachus in 1042, and later expanded during the Crusades. Today, much of what visitors see reflects the Crusader-era reconstruction, with remnants of earlier periods subtly woven into its architecture. The ongoing restoration of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre reflects the delicate balance between preserving its spiritual essence and embracing modern innovation. Advanced technologies, such as continuous monitoring and documentation, have allowed engineers and conservators to make informed decisions throughout the restoration process. This meticulous approach ensures that the church can endure for future generations while remaining accessible to pilgrims today. As visitors step into the rotunda and gaze upon the restored edicule, they are greeted by a space that bridges the ancient and the contemporary. The faint scent of wax and stone, the glow of candlelight, and the hushed prayers of the faithful create an atmosphere that is both timeless and deeply personal. The edicule, newly reinforced and resplendent, stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith and the collaborative spirit of humanity. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre continues to inspire awe and devotion, drawing millions of visitors from all corners of the globe. Its history is a tapestry of faith, conflict, and renewal, woven together by the hands of emperors, architects, pilgrims, and priests. From the visionary efforts of Constantine and Helena to the groundbreaking restoration of the edicule, this sacred site has remained a beacon of hope and resilience. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with its profound spiritual resonance and historical significance, stands as a symbol of the enduring interplay of faith and heritage. Yet its story extends beyond the walls, inviting us to step outside and explore the surrounding layers of history and symbolism. The exterior of this revered site offers its own narrative, a compelling continuation of the journey that connects the ancient past to the present day. Exploring the exterior, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with its restored edicule as the centerpiece of devotion, does not stand in isolation. Its exterior carries its own narrative, layered with history, architecture, and symbolic significance. As visitors step outside the spiritual sanctuary of the edicule, they are greeted by an array of fascinating elements that frame this sacred space, each adding depth to the story of this hallowed site. The parvis, the courtyard leading to the church, is a place where history and faith intersect vibrantly. Measuring about 20 meters on each side and covering approximately 430 square meters, the courtyard has long been a bustling hub. In its early history, this area even served as a marketplace, where traders offered products and souvenirs to pilgrims who traveled from distant lands. Today, it is alive with the energy of pilgrims and tourists alike, its lively atmosphere underscoring its role as a gateway to one of Christianity's most revered locations. On significant occasions, such as Holy Friday, the parvis transforms into a space for sacred rituals like the washing of the disciples' feet, blending ancient traditions with modern reverence. Beneath the parvis lies a hidden marvel, a vaulted cistern that provides structural support to the courtyard above. The northern wall of this cistern, with its large blocks and expertly dressed margins, speaks to the ingenuity of ancient builders. This wall may have formed part of the 2nd century raised platform associated with the Temple of Venus, erected by Hadrian. Such remnants offer a glimpse into the Roman period, when the site held a different significance before being claimed as a cornerstone of the Christian faith under Constantine's directive in the 4th century. To the left of the church's facade, the bell tower rises as proof of architectural ambition and resilience. Constructed in the 12th century, this structure once soared to impressive heights. However, time and natural calamities reduced its stature, with significant portions lost during a collapse in the year 1545. Another collapse in 1719 further diminished its grandeur. Yet, the bell tower remains a striking feature of the church's exterior. Its survival is owed to a significant conservation effort in the early 21st century, undertaken by the Israel Antiquities Authority and the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Jerusalem. The tower, originally built around the chapel of St. John the Evangelist, now stands as a symbol of preservation amidst the challenges of history. Just beyond the bell tower lies the southern entrance to the church, a feature that has seen centuries of footsteps passing through its wooden doors. These intricately carved doors, remnants of an earlier era, offer a glimpse into the craftsmanship of the Crusader period. Though only the left-hand entrance remains functional today, the right doorway, long bricked up, still holds echoes of the past. Remarkably, the responsibility for opening this entrance has been entrusted to the Muslim Nusayba family since the 7th century, a tradition that underscores the delicate balance of coexistence among faiths within the Holy Land. As one moves further, the Chapel of the Franks captures attention with its distinctive blue dome. This Roman Catholic Crusader chapel, dedicated to Our Lady of Sorrows, occupies a unique position as the 10th station of the Via Dolorosa. Tradition holds that this is the site where Jesus' clothes were stripped by Roman soldiers. Its location, perched above the Greek Orthodox oratory dedicated to Saint Mary of Egypt, once provided pilgrims with exclusive access to Calvary. The chapel, with its quiet reverence, brings to life the profound moments of Christ's journey to the cross. The chapels of St. John and St. Abraham, located within the Parvis, add further dimensions to the church's narrative. The Chapel of St. John, belonging to the Armenian Orthodox tradition, is a quiet sanctuary tucked to the left. Adjacent to it is the entrance to the Greek Orthodox monastery of St. Abraham. Once managed by Ethiopian Christians, this monastery shifted to Greek Orthodox custodianship in the 17th century after financial difficulties led to its transfer. Today, it serves as a guest house for pilgrims, offering respite to those who journey to Jerusalem in search of spiritual connection. These chapels and the monastery reflect the layered custodianship and diversity of Christian traditions within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Opposite the courtyard, the Greek Orthodox monastery of Gethsemane Metochion adds another layer of history and devotion. Its modest entrance belies its significance as a spiritual and cultural touchpoint. Inside, the small chapel houses the revered icon of the Panagia, which is carried in processions during the feast of the Dormition of the Theotokos each August. The steps leading from the monastery ascend toward St. Helena Street, while the minaret of Masjid-e-Omar rises in the background, creating a juxtaposition of faiths that coexist in this sacred city. The exterior of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is not merely an architectural prelude to its interior. It is a canvas that tells stories of devotion, resilience, and interfaith collaboration. The Parvis hums with the voices of pilgrims retracing the steps of countless others who came before them. The bell tower, though diminished in height, stands resolute as a marker of the church's endurance through centuries of upheaval. The wooden doors of the southern entrance, worn by time and history, serve as a reminder of the shared responsibility for safeguarding this sacred space. The chapels, monasteries, and courtyards interwoven around the church breathe life into its narrative, each corner holding a piece of the past that continues to resonate with the faithful today. As the sun casts its light over the courtyard, illuminating the weathered stones and vibrant crowds, one cannot help but wonder how these spaces have witnessed the ebb and flow of history. The exterior of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is alive with memories, both joyous and solemn, etched into its walls and stones. It is a place where tradition and modernity converge, where the architectural elements serve as silent witnesses to the devotion and determination of those who preserved this site for generations to come. This exterior narrative, filled with echoes of the past, invites one to explore deeper into the sacred chambers within. What mysteries lie beyond the doors of this revered church, and how do they continue to shape the spiritual journey of those who enter? These questions beckon us inward, where the stories of faith and history intertwine even more profoundly. Inside the walls of the Holy Sepulchre, inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, every stone, every corner, and every shadow seems to whisper stories of faith, devotion, and history. Stepping into its hallowed interior, one is enveloped by a profound sense of reverence. The air is thick with the mingling scents of incense and candle wax, while the murmur of prayers and the soft shuffle of footsteps create an atmosphere both sacred and alive. This is not just a church, it is a mosaic of moments that have shaped the spiritual journey of countless pilgrims over the centuries. At the heart of the church lies the Stone of Anointing, a focal point for many who visit this sacred space. According to Christian tradition, this is the very stone where the body of Jesus was laid after being removed from the cross. Here, his body was anointed with spices and oils in preparation for burial, in keeping with Jewish customs. Positioned just beyond the main entrance, the stone immediately captures the attention of those entering the church. It rests beneath a canopy of delicate hanging lamps, their warm glow reflecting off its smooth surface. Behind it, a wall adorned with striking blue balconies and red banners bearing tau crosses creates a vibrant contrast, reminding visitors of the enduring significance of this site. Pilgrims often kneel before the stone of anointing, their hands brushing its surface or their foreheads resting against it. Some place objects, rosaries, scarves, or photographs of loved ones on the stone, imbuing them with a sense of blessing. The scene is one of quiet devotion, yet it is also deeply personal. Each visitor seems to carry their own story, their own reason for seeking connection with this sacred artifact. For some, it is a moment of profound spiritual awakening. For others, it is a space to grieve, reflect, or offer thanks. Beyond the stone lies the edicule, an architectural and spiritual marvel that holds the tomb where, according to tradition, Jesus was laid to rest and from which he rose. Known as the Kouvouklion in Greek, the edicule is a small yet imposing chapel nestled beneath the grand rotunda of the church. Its current structure, rebuilt in the early 19th century by the Greek Orthodox community, retains elements of marble cladding from the 16th century, preserving layers of history within its walls. The edicule comprises two distinct chambers, each with its own profound significance. The first room houses the Angel Stone, a fragment believed to be part of the large stone that once sealed the tomb. This stone, weathered and ancient, evokes the moment described in the Gospels when the stone was rolled away, heralding the resurrection. The second chamber is the tomb itself, where a marble plaque placed in the 14th century to protect the original surface marks the spot revered as the resting place of Christ. Entering this chamber, many pilgrims are overcome with emotion, the small space amplifying the weight of centuries of belief and devotion. The dim light inside the edicule, filtered through flickering candles, creates an otherworldly ambiance. It is a place where time seems to stand still, and the barriers between the physical and the spiritual blur. Visitors often describe a sense of overwhelming peace or awe, as though they are standing at the crossroads of history and eternity. The restoration efforts of recent years have ensured that this sacred site can continue to inspire future generations, preserving its structure while honoring its profound significance. East of the rotunda, the Catholicon offers a clear difference from the intimate confines of the edicule. This Greek Orthodox worship space, located at the crossing of the choir transepts, is marked by its grandeur and symmetry. The Catholicon is topped by a single dome, its central position reflecting its role as the liturgical heart of the church. Beneath this dome lies the omphalos, or navel stone, which some Orthodox Christians venerate as the center of the world, a symbolic link to the cosmic significance of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. The Catholicon exudes an air of solemnity, its architectural details drawing the eye upward toward the heavens. It is a dedicated space for communal worship, where the liturgical rhythms of Orthodox Christianity unfold in chants, incense, and processions. Yet, even in its grandeur, the Catholicon retains an intimacy, reminding those who enter of the spiritual essence that underpins its beauty. It is a space where the divine feels both transcendent and near, inviting reflection and prayer. Descending from the main level of the church, visitors encounter the Chapel of St. Helena, a quiet sanctuary steeped in history. Reached by a set of stairs nestled between the Chapel of the Division of Robes and the Greek Chapel of the Derision, this 12th century Armenian chapel is modest in design, reflecting the simplicity associated with St. Helena. Two apses within the chapel honor her and the penitent thief crucified alongside Christ, their stories intertwined with themes of redemption and faith. The walls of the Chapel of St. Helena seem to carry the echoes of its namesake's remarkable journey. As the mother of Constantine, she played a pivotal role in identifying the site of Christ's crucifixion and burial, guided by visions and faith. This chapel, tucked away in the lower levels of the church, feels like a fitting tribute to her humility and devotion. Pilgrims who find their way here often linger, drawn by the quiet reverence of the space and the sense of connection to Helena's legacy. Nearby, the Chapel of Adam presents a unique blend of tradition and symbolism. Located beneath the Golgotha Chapel, this space is rooted in the belief that Jesus was crucified above the burial site of Adam, the first man. According to tradition, the blood of Christ, shed during the crucifixion, seeped through the rocks and reached Adam's skull, symbolizing redemption for all humanity. A window on the altar wall reveals the cracked rock of Calvary, a physical manifestation of the earthquake said to have occurred at the moment of Christ's death. The Chapel of Adam aligns with layers of meaning, bridging the narratives of creation and redemption. Visitors often pause before the exposed rock, contemplating the profound connections between the stories of Adam and Christ. The crack in the stone, framed by the soft glow of surrounding candles, is a solid marker of the dramatic events recounted in the Gospels. It is a place that invites deep reflection, a space where the physical and spiritual converge in powerful ways. As one moves through the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, it becomes clear that its interior is not just a collection of chapels and relics, but a living tapestry of faith and history. Each space, from the solemn stone of anointing to the awe-inspiring aedicule, from the grand Catholican to the intimate chapels of St. Helena and Adam, offers a unique lens through which to experience the mysteries of the Christian faith. Together, they form a narrative that is both deeply personal and universally resonant. Yet the journey through the church does not end here. There are other chapels, each with its own story to tell. What secrets and symbols await discovery in these hidden corners of the Holy Sepulchre? The exploration continues, drawing us further into the heart of this sacred space, where history and devotion intertwine. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre holds within its ancient walls a treasury of chapels, each with its unique story and sacred significance. As one explores more deeply into its labyrinth of faith and history, these chapels reveal narratives that intertwine scripture, tradition, and the collective memory of countless pilgrims. Each chapel, though distinct, contributes to the Church's profound sense of mystery and reverence, creating an unparalleled spiritual journey. Ascending the stairs just south of the Catholican, you will see the Greek Orthodox Calvary, also known as Golgotha. This is the site traditionally regarded as the place of Christ's crucifixion, an event that lies at the heart of Christian theology. The stairway, worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims, leads to one of the most elaborately adorned spaces within the church. Here, the sacred and the opulent coexist. Gilded icons, intricate mosaics, and flickering lamps illuminate the space, drawing attention to the altar, which marks the spot where the cross stood. Beneath the altar, a silver disc encircles a hole in the rock, believed to be the very point where the cross was raised. For those kneeling in prayer here, the weight of centuries of devotion is almost palpable. The journey continues downward via an opposing stairway, leading pilgrims to reflect on the solemn significance of Golgotha before moving deeper into the church. Descending yet another staircase, this one connected to the Chapel of St. Helena brings visitors to the Roman Catholic Chapel of the Finding of the Holy Cross, also known as the Chapel of the Invention of the Cross. It is said to be the location where St. Helena, guided by divine vision, discovered the true cross and the instruments of Christ's passion. The rough walls of this space tell of its earlier life as part of an ancient quarry and later as a cistern for water storage. Today, it is a serene and sacred space, marked by a statue of Saint Helena holding the cross. The dim lighting and austere surroundings enhance the sense of wonder and reverence. For pilgrims, it is a moment to contemplate the power of faith that guided Saint Helena to this discovery, solidifying the connection between the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ. Moving toward the Franciscan Chapel of Mary Magdalene, the atmosphere shifts to one of intimate reflection. This chapel commemorates Mary Magdalene's encounter with the risen Christ. The altar is simple, yet elegant, dedicated to the woman who first bore witness to the resurrection. Double bronze doors, gifted by the people of Australia in the 20th century, lead to the adjacent chapel of the apparition. Tradition holds that this adjoining space is where Jesus appeared to his mother after his resurrection, a moment of quiet yet profound significance. Though not explicitly mentioned in the Gospels, this tradition resonates deeply with those who visit, offering a tender glimpse into the humanity of the divine narrative. The organ mounted on the chapel's wall carries its own historical weight, with some claiming it was the very one used to bind Jesus during the scourging. This blending of memory, tradition, and faith creates a deeply personal space for contemplation. Nearby, the Chapel of the Blessed Sacrament serves as another testament to the event of the apparition, solidifying its place in the collective memory of the faithful. This space, adorned with simplicity and reverence, offers pilgrims a chance to sit in silence, enveloped by the profound mystery of the resurrection. The chapel's dual role as a commemoration of Jesus' meeting with his mother and as a space for Eucharistic devotion creates a seamless connection between the historical and the sacramental. Moving further to the northeast of the church, the Greek Orthodox Chapel of Jesus' Prison presents a stark contrast to the other chapels. Its subdued atmosphere reflects its association with one of the purported locations where Jesus was imprisoned after his arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane. The floor of the chapel features a mosaic depicting a double-headed eagle, a symbol of both the Byzantine Empire and the Greek Orthodox Church. This chapel, with its unadorned walls and quiet corners, draws visitors into a contemplative space, inviting them to consider the physical and emotional toll of Christ's passion. Descending deeper into the church, the Chapel of the 40 Martyrs of Sebaste reveals another layer of its history. Located at the base of the bell tower, this Greek Orthodox chapel once served as a burial site for the patriarchs of Jerusalem. Today, it commemorates the 40 martyrs of Sebaste, who were Roman soldiers martyred for their Christian faith in the early 4th century. The chapel, restored during the 11th century under Emperor Constantine Monomachos, exudes an austere beauty, its simplicity reflecting the steadfastness of the martyrs it honors. For those who enter, it is a space that inspires courage and faith, connecting the sacrifices of the past with the endurance of belief. Above the church, on its roof, lies the Deir-es-Sultan Monastery. Its name, translating to Monastery of the Sultan, reflects its history under Islamic rule. According to tradition, the monastery was granted to the Coptic Orthodox Church by Sultan Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan in the 7th century, a gesture later confirmed by Sultan Salah al-Din during the 12th century. This monastery, perched high above the bustling church below, offers a unique vantage point, both literally and metaphorically. Its position as a point of contention among Christian denominations underscores the complexities of custodianship within the Holy Sepulchre, while its humble presence serves as a reminder of the diverse traditions that converge within this sacred space. Returning to the church's interior, the Chapel of the Division of the Robes, an Armenian chapel located near the steps descending to the Chapel of St. Helena, offers another poignant moment of reflection. This chapel marks the place where Roman soldiers cast lots to divide Christ's clothing, as recounted in the Gospel of John. The simplicity of the space belies the gravity of the event it commemorates, highlighting the stark contrast between human greed and divine sacrifice. The chapel's quiet corners provide a space for pilgrims to meditate on the humility and suffering embodied by this moment in the Passion narrative. The Greek Orthodox Chapel of St. Longinus, dedicated to the Roman soldier who pierced Jesus' side with a spear, introduces a story of transformation. According to tradition, this soldier, later known as St. Longinus, proclaimed Christ as the Son of God after witnessing the events of the crucifixion. The chapel's apse is adorned with a painted altar depicting the life of St. Longinus, while a mosaic hangs on the wall, telling his story in vivid detail. For visitors, the chapel serves as a reminder of the power of faith to transform even those who stand on the periphery of divine events. The Armenian Chapel of St. Vartan, excavated in the 20th century, blends history with faith in a unique way. Located within an ancient quarry, the chapel features remnants of 6 walls, dating back to the Hadrianic and Constantinian periods. A ship inscription reading Domine Ivimus adds a mysterious touch to the space, inviting reflection on the journeys of faith that have led countless pilgrims to this site. The chapel's connection to ancient history underscores the enduring significance of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as a place of spiritual and historical resonance. Behind the tomb of Jesus, on the western side of the rotunda, lies the Syriac chapel of Joseph of Arimathea. This Jacobite chapel, part of the original 4th century Constantinian church, carries the weight of antiquity. Damaged by fire in antiquity, its walls bear the scars of time. Yet its significance remains undiminished. Adjacent to the chapel are 1st century Jewish tombs, traditionally believed to be those of Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, the figures who took Christ's body from the cross and prepared it for burial. This chapel, steeped in simplicity and tradition, serves as a fitting tribute to the humility and faith of those who played a vital role in the Passion narrative. The chapels of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre stitch together a story of faith, history, and tradition. Each space, whether grand or humble, contributes to the rich narrative of the Church, drawing visitors deeper into the mysteries of Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. As you walk through these chapels, it becomes clear that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is not merely a place of worship. It is a living legacy of the enduring power of faith, inviting all who enter to reflect on the divine within the human story. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a timeless symbol of faith and history, holds many secrets within its walls and around its grounds. Beyond the chapels and relics associated with the Passion, crucifixion, and resurrection of Christ, there are lesser-known features and narratives that deepen the Church's rich tapestry. These elements, though sometimes overlooked, are integral to understanding the spiritual, historical, and cultural significance of this sacred site. The quarry itself provides a fascinating backdrop to the Church's narrative, connecting it to a broader historical and cultural context. The raw, unshaped stones of the quarry stand in stark contrast to the polished and gilded surfaces of the church above, offering a tangible reminder of the passage of time and the transformative power of faith. For many visitors, contemplating the quarry beneath the church is an opportunity to reflect on the ways in which the physical and spiritual landscapes of Jerusalem have evolved over millennia. Equally evocative is the story of the keys of the Holy Sepulchre, a tradition that highlights the enduring coexistence of faiths in this sacred city. Since the 12th century, the keys to the church's main entrance have been entrusted to two Muslim families, the Jude and Nusaybe clans. This arrangement, established during the Ayyubid era under Salah al-Din, reflects a pragmatic approach to governance in a city marked by religious diversity and frequent conflict. By assigning the responsibility of opening and locking the church to impartial custodians, Salah al-Din ensured that no single Christian denomination could assert dominance over this shared holy site. Some local traditions suggest that this arrangement may have even earlier roots, tracing back to the time of the second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. According to this narrative, Umar sought to prevent clashes among rival Christian sects by placing the keys in the hands of Muslims. Whatever its origins, this tradition endures as a powerful symbol of mutual respect and coexistence. The act of opening and closing the church's doors, performed daily by members of the Jude and Nusaybe families, is a ritual steeped in history, a simple yet profound gesture that underscores the shared stewardship of this sacred space. To witness the unlocking of the Holy Sepulchre's doors is to witness history in motion. It is a reminder that even amidst centuries of conflict and change, traditions rooted in cooperation and respect can endure. For the faithful who enter the church each day, the sight of this ritual offers a moment of reflection on the interconnectedness of humanity, transcending divisions of creed and culture. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with its many layers of history and faith, invites those who visit to look beyond the obvious and delve into the nuances that make it truly unique. From the tomb of Philippe d'Aubigny, a relic of the Crusades, to the ancient stone quarry that predated the church's construction by centuries, the stories embedded in this sacred site reveal a complex and enduring legacy. The immovable ladder and the keys of the Holy Sepulchre, though seemingly mundane objects, carry profound symbolic weight, reflecting the intricate balance of unity and diversity that defines the church. Walking inside the walls of the Holy Sepulchre, it becomes clear that its significance cannot be fully captured by any single story or feature. It is a place where history and faith intertwine, where ancient traditions coexist with the daily rhythms of worship, and where the physical and spiritual converge in powerful and unexpected ways. Each step within the church, whether on the polished floors above or the rugged stones of the quarry below, offers an opportunity to connect with the countless lives and legacies that have shaped this extraordinary space. While the Church of the Holy Sepulchre holds the strongest claim as the site of Jesus' burial and resurrection, it is not the only place considered significant in this regard. Over the years, other locations have emerged, offering alternative narratives and captivating the imagination of believers and historians alike. Among these is the serene and contemplative Garden Tomb, a site that has drawn pilgrims and seekers with its tranquil setting and unique story. The Garden Tomb, nestled just north of Jerusalem's Damascus Gate, offers a tranquil alternative to the bustling sanctity of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Discovered in the late 19th century, this site has captured the imagination of many Christians seeking a location that aligns more closely with the gospel accounts of Jesus' crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. While its historical authenticity as the burial place of Jesus has been debated, the Garden Tomb has emerged as a place of profound spiritual reflection and inspiration. The tomb, carved into the rock, sits amidst a serene garden setting, far removed from the noise and activity of Jerusalem's Old City. This sense of peace, coupled with the surrounding natural beauty, has made it a compelling place for contemplation and prayer. The site is often described as a restorative space where visitors can reflect on the final days of Jesus' earthly ministry and the transformative power of his resurrection. The Garden Tomb's discovery in the year 1867 drew immediate interest, but it was in 1883, under the advocacy of General Charles Gordon, that it gained significant recognition. Gordon, a British Army officer, suggested that this site better matched the biblical descriptions than the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. His argument was rooted in three key observations: the tomb's rock-cut chambers, the nearby escarpment resembling a skull, and the site's location outside Jerusalem's ancient city walls, consistent with the gospel accounts of Jesus' burial place. The tomb itself is central to the Garden Tomb's claim as a potential site for Jesus' burial. Its design features two chambers, a weeping chamber and a burial chamber containing loculi, or burial niches. This architectural layout aligns with descriptions of tombs used by wealthy individuals during the biblical era, prompting some to associate it with Joseph of Arimathea, who, according to the Gospels, provided his own tomb for Jesus' burial. The notion of a new tomb carved into the rock, as described in the Gospel of John, resonates with the features of this site, adding to its allure for visitors seeking a tangible connection to the gospel narrative. Adjacent to the tomb lies another intriguing feature, a rocky escarpment with a skull-like appearance. Known as Skull Hill, this formation has been identified by some as Golgotha, the place of the skull where Jesus was crucified. The imagery of the rock face, with its hollowed-out eyes and weathered contours, evokes the somber tone of the crucifixion. While no definitive archaeological evidence confirms this connection, the visual resemblance and proximity to the tomb have led many to find spiritual meaning in this connection. Despite its compelling features, the Garden Tomb faces challenges in its claim to authenticity. Archaeological studies suggest that the tomb dates back to the Iron Age, between the 8th and 7th centuries BCE, long before the time of Jesus. Such findings indicate that the tomb is unlikely to have been used during the Roman period, casting doubt on its role as the burial site of Christ. Additionally, the lack of early Christian veneration at the site, a hallmark of other locations linked to Jesus' life, further complicates its claim. However, for many Christians, the Garden Tomb's significance transcends questions of historical accuracy. Its peaceful garden, adorned with blooming flowers and shaded by ancient trees, provides a meditative environment that fosters spiritual connection. Visitors often describe their experience as deeply moving as they walk through the garden paths, pause before the tomb, and imagine the events of that first Easter morning. The simplicity of the setting allows for a focus on faith and reflection. unburdened by the grandeur and complexity of larger religious structures. The story of Mary Magdalene discovering the empty tomb comes to life within the quiet walls of this site. As visitors step into the cool, dark chambers of the garden tomb, they are often struck by the stillness and solemnity that envelop the space. This experience invites reflection on the moment described in the Gospel of John, when Mary, consumed with grief, encountered the risen Christ. The emotional power of this narrative resonates strongly within the garden tomb, transforming it into a space of hope and renewal. General Charles Gordon's advocacy for the garden tomb as a credible alternative to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre gained momentum in the late 19th century. Gordon emphasized the alignment of the site's features with gospel descriptions, particularly its location outside the city walls and the nearby resemblance to Golgotha. His views found a receptive audience among Protestant Christians, who appreciated the simplicity and quietness of the site, compared to the crowded and ornate Church of the Holy Sepulchre. For many, the garden tomb represented an unembellished connection to the life and ministry of Jesus, untouched by centuries of ecclesiastical history. Yet, the garden tomb's appeal does not rest solely on the possibility of its historical authenticity. Its spiritual significance lies in its ability to bring the gospel narrative to life for those who visit. It provides a physical setting that mirrors the events described in Scripture, allowing believers to walk in the footsteps of Mary Magdalene, Peter, and John. This imaginative engagement with the gospel story fosters a sense of personal connection to the central events of the Christian faith, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. The rocky escarpment adjacent to the tomb, believed by some to be Golgotha, serves as a powerful visual anchor for reflection on the crucifixion. The skull-like formation, with its haunting contours, draws visitors into a moment of contemplation about the suffering and sacrifice of Christ. Whether viewed as the actual site of Golgotha or as a symbolic representation, the escarpment underscores the universal themes of redemption and grace that permeate the Christian message. The garden tomb also serves as a gathering place for worship and community. Services held within the garden allow believers from around the world to come together in a shared expression of faith. The simplicity of these gatherings, often accompanied by hymns and prayers, reflects the essence of the resurrection story, a triumph of light over darkness, of hope over despair. While the garden tomb holds deep spiritual meaning for many, its existence also prompts an important question. Does the exact location of Jesus' tomb ultimately matter? For Christians, the resurrection itself is the cornerstone of faith, as articulated by the Apostle Paul. And if Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. The garden tomb, whether the actual site or not, serves as a powerful tool to remind believers of this foundational truth. It bridges the historical and the spiritual, offering a space to engage with the narrative of the resurrection in a personal and meaningful way. The peaceful ambiance of the garden tomb, with its blooming gardens, simple architecture, and natural beauty, contrasts sharply with the bustling streets of modern Jerusalem. This juxtaposition invites reflection on the enduring relevance of Christ's resurrection in a world often marked by noise and distraction. It provides a sanctuary for those seeking solace, inspiration, and renewal in their spiritual journey. No doubt that the garden tomb stands not as a definitive answer to the question of Jesus' burial site, but as an invitation to explore the deeper meaning of the resurrection. It encourages visitors to move beyond the search for physical evidence and to embrace the spiritual reality of Christ's victory over death. As the garden paths wind toward the tomb, they also lead to a place of introspection, where the story of Jesus becomes not just a historical account, but a living, transformative truth. What insights can be uncovered as we explore other locations linked to the life of Jesus, each with its own story to tell and lessons to impart? The Talpiot tomb, unearthed in 1980 in Jerusalem's East Talpiot neighborhood, has ignited decades of debate and intrigue. Nestled in a modest residential area, this unassuming tomb was thrust into the global spotlight in 2007 with the release of the documentary The Lost Tomb of Jesus. The film posited a provocative theory. This ancient burial site, dating to the late Second Temple period, could be the family tomb of Jesus of Nazareth, with its ossuaries bearing names strikingly similar to those of Jesus' family and close followers. The Talpiot tomb became a focal point for discussions at the crossroads of archaeology, theology, and faith. At the heart of the controversy were the 10 ossuaries discovered within the tomb, 6 of which bore inscriptions. Among the most prominent were Yeshua bar Yehoseph, Jesus son of Joseph, Maria, a variant of Mary Yose, a diminutive of Joseph, Mariamne Amara, possibly Mary Magdalene, Matthew, and Yehuda bar Yeshua, Judah son of Jesus. These names, familiar to anyone acquainted with the New Testament, stirred speculation that the tomb might contain the remains of Jesus and his family. Proponents of the theory highlighted the statistical rarity of such a cluster of names appearing together, suggesting that this could not be a mere coincidence. They further proposed that the ossuary inscribed with Mariamne Amara referred to Mary Magdalene, potentially bolstering claims of her close association with Jesus. For some, the discovery of an ossuary labeled Yehuda bar Yeshua hinted at a familial lineage that would redefine traditional understandings of Jesus' life and relationships. Yet, as compelling as these claims might appear on the surface, they falter under closer scrutiny. The scholarly and theological challenges to the Talpiot tomb theory are numerous and robust, beginning with the context and frequency of the names themselves. During the 1st century, the names Jesus, Mary, and Joseph were extraordinarily common in Jewish society. Archaeological and historical studies show that names like Yeshua, Yose, and Maria accounted for a significant proportion of recorded names during that period. For example, Yeshua alone appears in approximately 9% of inscriptions from the time, making it far less unique than the theory's proponents suggest. Richard Bauckham, a prominent New Testament scholar, compiled comprehensive data illustrating the ubiquity of these names. According to his analysis, ossuary inscriptions and other records reveal that these names frequently recurred within unrelated families, undermining the statistical argument that the Talpiot tomb belonged to Jesus of Nazareth's family. As Bauckham and other critics have noted, finding these names together is no more unusual than encountering a modern family with the names John, Mary, and Joseph. The inscription, Yeshua bar Yehoseph itself, poses additional problems. Nowhere in the New Testament or early Christian writings is Jesus referred to as the son of Joseph in such a formal manner. The Gospels emphasize titles such as Jesus of Nazareth or Jesus the Messiah, underscoring his divine mission rather than familial ties. This absence of precedent makes it unlikely that early Christians or Jesus' contemporaries would have inscribed his ossuary in this way, further distancing the Talpiot tomb from the Jesus of the Gospels. Moreover, the very notion of Jesus' remains being interred in Jerusalem conflicts with the socio-economic realities of his life. Jesus and his family were from Nazareth, a humble Galilean town far removed from the affluent circles, capable of commissioning a rock-cut tomb in Jerusalem. Joseph, described as a carpenter, would not have had the financial means to secure such a burial site. Even more compelling is the absence of early Christian veneration at the site. From its inception, Christianity placed profound importance on locations associated with Jesus, such as Bethlehem, Galilee, and the site of the resurrection. Had the Talpiot tomb truly been his family's burial place, it would almost certainly have become a focal point of Christian pilgrimage and worship. Yet no such tradition exists. The theological implications of the Talpiot tomb theory are even more profound. Central to Christian doctrine is the belief in the bodily resurrection of Jesus. The Gospels recount that his tomb was found empty 3 days after his crucifixion, and his post-resurrection appearances form the foundation of the Christian faith. As Paul writes in his letter to the Corinthians, "If Christ has not been raised, your faith is futile. You are still in your sins." The claim that Jesus' physical remains were discovered in the Talpiot tomb directly contradicts this core tenet, challenging the very essence of Christianity. This theological tension underscores the need for rigorous scrutiny when evaluating the evidence. Archaeologists, historians, and theologians alike have raised concerns about the methodologies and assumptions underlying the Talpiot tomb theory. Colin Aitken, a professor of forensic statistics, critiqued the statistical analysis used to support the theory. noting that the probability figures were based on flawed assumptions and did not conclusively establish a connection to Jesus of Nazareth. Similarly, Peter Lampe, an expert in New Testament studies and archaeology, pointed to other historical examples of families with similar names that had no connection to the New Testament. The lack of early Christian recognition of the Talpiot tomb also cast significant doubt on its authenticity. The early followers of Jesus demonstrated extraordinary care in preserving and venerating sites associated with his life and ministry. The absence of any historical record or archaeological evidence linking the Talpiot tomb to early Christian practices further weakens its claims. In contrast, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, with its centuries of veneration and imperial endorsement, offers a far stronger historical and theological case as the authentic burial site. Beyond the scholarly critique, the controversy surrounding the Talpiot tomb raises important questions about the intersection of faith and archaeology. Can physical evidence ever fully capture the essence of spiritual truth? For many Christians, the significance of Jesus' resurrection transcends material artifacts. It is not the location of his tomb that defines their faith, but the transformative power of his victory over death and sin. At its core, the Talpiot tomb provides a reflection of the complexities and challenges inherent in interpreting the past. While the tomb provides valuable insights into burial practices during the Second Temple period, its connection to Jesus of Nazareth remains speculative at best. The debates it has sparked highlight the need for careful, objective analysis when engaging with archaeological discoveries that intersect with deeply held beliefs. As the controversy surrounding the Talpiot tomb continues to unfold, one thing remains clear: the enduring fascination with the life and legacy of Jesus of Nazareth. Whether through the study of ancient texts, the exploration of archaeological sites, or the practice of faith, humanity's quest to understand his story persists. How might other discoveries, like the recent findings at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, further illuminate this timeless narrative? The debate surrounding the possible tombs of Jesus, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Garden Tomb, and the Talpiot tomb highlights the enduring fascination with understanding the physical locations tied to his life and death. While the Talpiot tomb and the Garden Tomb have drawn attention and sparked discussion, when considering historical, archaeological, and traditional evidence, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre holds the most weight. As we deeply see the comparisons among these three sites, the narrative naturally leads us to a question that lies at the intersection of faith and history. How do ancient traditions, tangible artifacts, and biblical accounts shape our understanding of sacred spaces? The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, located in Jerusalem's Old City, has been venerated as the site of Jesus' crucifixion, burial, and resurrection since the 4th century. The origins of this tradition trace back to Emperor Constantine and his mother Helena, whose pilgrimage to Jerusalem in the early 4th century led to the identification of this location. According to historical accounts, Helena, guided by faith and local Christian tradition, recognized the site where Golgotha, or the place of the skull, stood. She ordered the construction of a church on this sacred ground, marking the beginning of its role as a focal point of Christian devotion. From an archaeological perspective, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre aligns closely with the descriptions of Jesus' burial place as presented in the Gospels. The Gospel of John emphasizes that the tomb was located outside the city walls, near Golgotha, and within a garden. Excavations and historical research affirm that the site was indeed outside Jerusalem's city walls during the 1st century. It was part of a larger area that had been used as a stone quarry and later repurposed for tombs, aligning with the biblical depiction of a garden setting. The remains of tombs from the 1st century have also been discovered within the church, adding further credibility to its claim. These findings correspond to the type of burial practices described in the Gospels, where Jesus was placed in a rock-cut tomb provided by Joseph of Arimathea. This alignment between archaeological discoveries and biblical narratives strengthens the argument for the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as the most plausible location for Jesus' burial. In contrast, the Garden Tomb, while a serene and contemplative site, faces significant challenges when subjected to the same level of scrutiny. Discovered in the late 19th century, the Garden Tomb initially gained attention due to its peaceful garden setting, and its proximity to a rocky escarpment resembling a skull, which some identified as Golgotha. However, archaeological studies indicate that the tomb itself dates back to the 8th or 7th century BCE, long before the time of Jesus. This chronological discrepancy undermines its claim as a 1st century burial site. Additionally, there is no historical record of early Christian veneration at the Garden Tomb, unlike the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which has been a consistent focus of pilgrimage and devotion since the 4th century. Similarly, the Talpiot tomb, discovered in 1980, fails to hold up under rigorous analysis. While the names inscribed on its ossuaries, such as Yeshua bar Yehoseph and Mariamne Emara, initially appeared compelling, these names were extraordinarily common in 1st century Jewish society. Statistical arguments in favor of the Talpiot tomb have been criticized for their reliance on assumptions and the absence of corroborative evidence. Furthermore, the lack of early Christian recognition or veneration at the Talpiot tomb raises questions about its connection to the Jesus of the New Testament. Early Christians demonstrated a strong commitment to preserving and honoring places associated with Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. And this absence of tradition at the Talpiot tomb is difficult to reconcile with claims of its significance. The uninterrupted tradition of Christian veneration at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre further supports its credibility. Since its establishment in the 4th century, the church has withstood invasions, reconstructions, and centuries of conflict. Yet its role as a sacred site has remained intact. This continuity underscores the strong memory and reverence associated with the location. Pilgrims from across the Christian world have journeyed to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre to connect with the events of Jesus' passion and resurrection, adding to its significance as a living testament to the faith. Theologically, the importance of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre lies not merely in its archaeological evidence, but in its resonance with the narrative of the resurrection. The Gospel accounts emphasize the empty tomb as a symbol of victory over death and sin, a cornerstone of Christian belief. While the precise location of Jesus' tomb is secondary to the truth of the resurrection, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre embodies this theological reality through its enduring presence and the spiritual connection it fosters among believers. The church's location outside the city walls during the 1st century and its proximity to Golgotha further align it with the Gospel accounts. The discovery of 1st century tombs within the church reinforces its connection to the burial traditions of the time. These elements collectively support the claim that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is the most historically and archaeologically plausible site of Jesus' crucifixion and burial. The question of Jesus' tomb also invites reflection on the role of sacred spaces in faith. For Christians, the resurrection is not confined to a single location, but represents a transformative reality that transcends time and place. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, while bearing the weight of history and tradition, ultimately points beyond itself to this profound truth. As we consider the historical, archaeological, and theological dimensions of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, it becomes clear why it holds a unique place among the sites associated with Jesus. The combination of early veneration, alignment with gospel descriptions, and archaeological evidence makes it the most credible contender for the location of Jesus' tomb. Yet, even as it stands as a beacon of faith and history, it invites us to look deeper into the ongoing journey of discovery. The story of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre does not end with its historical and traditional significance. Recent discoveries within the church and its surroundings continue to shed light on its ancient origins and enhance our understanding of this sacred site. From newly uncovered relics to groundbreaking restoration efforts, these findings reveal the layers of history embedded within the church's walls. What do these discoveries tell us about the enduring legacy of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and its place in the story of faith? Beyond the Garden Tomb and the Talpiot tomb, other locations add depth and intrigue to the enduring search for Jesus' burial place. While the Church of the Holy Sepulchre holds the strongest historical, archaeological, and traditional claim, sites like the Tomb of the Shroud and Dominus Flevit Church invite exploration into the layers of history, faith, and mystery surrounding this sacred narrative. The Tomb of the Shroud, located in the Kidron Valley, is a site linked to Joseph of Arimathea, the figure who, according to the Gospels, provided the tomb for Jesus' burial. This tomb derives its name from the discovery of remnants of a burial shroud within its chambers, evoking the Gospel accounts of Jesus' body being wrapped in linen before burial. The fragments found here, though compelling, date to an earlier period, making a direct connection to Jesus unlikely. Furthermore, the lack of consistent Christian veneration or acknowledgement throughout history raises questions about its significance. Still, for those who visit, the Tomb of the Shroud offers a moment to reflect on the burial traditions of the time and the profound reverence surrounding the final moments of Jesus' earthly life. Dominus Flevit Church, situated on the Mount of Olives, is another proposed location tied to the burial of Jesus. This church, its name meaning "the Lord wept," commemorates the gospel account of Jesus weeping over Jerusalem. While not traditionally associated with Jesus' burial, some have pointed to its proximity to ancient tombs as a potential link. Archaeological evidence, however, places much of the burial activity at this site in earlier periods, diminishing its plausibility as the location of Jesus' tomb. Despite this, Dominus Flevit holds deep spiritual significance for pilgrims. Its peaceful setting overlooking Jerusalem provides a place for contemplation, prayer, and connection to the broader narrative of Jesus' ministry and sacrifice. These alternative sites, while lacking the historical weight of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, serve a valuable role in the ongoing search for understanding. Each location offers a unique lens through which to examine the burial traditions of the Second Temple period, the devotion of early Christians, and the ways in which faith continues to inspire exploration and discovery. They remind us that the physical markers of history are just one part of the greater story, a story that resonates not only in the past, but in the hearts of believers today. The search for Jesus' tomb transcends the quest for a definitive answer. It is a journey into the heart of faith itself, where history and theology intertwine to shape our understanding of the resurrection's transformative power. Whether standing before the grandeur of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, walking through the serenity of the Garden Tomb, or contemplating the artifacts of sites like the Tomb of the Shroud, pilgrims and seekers are united by the same profound truth, that the tomb, wherever it may be, was ultimately left empty. The stories of these tombs, with their history, traditions, and unanswered questions, invite us to embrace the mystery of faith. They remind us that the power of the resurrection is not rooted in a specific location, but in its enduring message of love, redemption, and victory over death. And as we consider the discoveries, traditions, and reflections tied to these sacred sites, we are left with one final question. How does the empty tomb transform not only our understanding of history, but also our lives today? Is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre truly the site of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection? If so, what about the Garden Tomb and other proposed sites? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating explorations of faith and history.